it's hard to even talk about because I know it's like resistance. But
well, then don't tell a resistance story.
But here
we told you a vortex story.
Yeah.
And now you want to tell us a resistance story, and we don't blame you because it's vivid and it's probably in Technicolor.
And it is, and that's the piece that I know that I struggle with because it's money. I'm tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and I've been almost unemployed for a year. And it's like, so the money thing for me feels often painful. And
yes.
Yet I am aware of the vortex piece,
yes.
but it feels like,
and
like what you were saying earlier, when I get specific about it, it kicks me out.
And it would seem irresponsible.
It
would seem irresponsible to not address the debt and the money, and yet you cannot be responsible to the vortex and responsible to your reality at the same time. You got to pick one. And if you're responsible to the reality, then you're not in the vortex. And if you're not in the vortex, nothing can change.
And that's where I go back and forth, because I feel like I have.
Why would you go back and forth? That's ridiculous. Why would you choose something that won't let the money come over something that will let the money come? Is reality that intoxicating?
No, I hear you, and it's well, there's a piece that.
Well, there's no missing piece. There's no missing piece. You know what it is, and it's that what you're observing plays it's logical that what you're observing would come up more often than what you're imagining, especially when it has to do with money. Money touches you in so many ways. So it's like that unpleasant friend that just walks around with you everywhere you go and wants to talk to you. And it's hard for you to keep positive thoughts in your mind because you've got this negative friend who just wants to keep talking negative. And you just wish they'd fall off a bridge, but they won't. They just go everywhere with you, and you just can't shake loose of them. And so you have to make a decision that you're going to sever that friendship for a while. And so when the thought about money comes up, you just look at it and say, hey, I told you I'm not talking to you. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You're a downer. You bring me down and you keep me out of the vortex. In other words, find some way of making it vivid and real to you. And what we're talking about is determination. What we're talking about is decision. What we're talking about is focus. What we're talking about is willpower. What we're talking about is focusing your mind into the criteria that matters more. And what we want to convey to you is the vortex matters way more than the physical reality. But boy, is that ever a hard sell, because you all have been so intoxicated about reality. You and almost everybody you know just divides reality up into all kinds of piles and talk about it incessantly. Do you know you even have historical piles and historical monuments where you keep stirring up stuff that you don't want to repeat in your life experience? So we're like you. We get it. We understand. And law of attraction helps you keep thinking those thoughts. The thought you think brings another thought. In other words, so this is the easy way, the blunt way of saying it to you. You are right now a cooperative component to out of the vortex thoughts. And that's why they keep coming. There's no missing piece. It's just that's what's more active. We've been saying for a while, when you pick up any subject, money, health, relationship, the house I live in, the car I drive, the body I walk around in, when you pick up any subject, it has an end of what you don't want and an end of what you do want. And when you activate the subject, it starts buzzing right where you last left it. So when you talk about money, it buzzes where it's been. When you talk about money, it buzzes where it's been. When you talk about money, it buzzes where it's been. Now, the whole time it's buzzing, it's throwing more into the vortex. So that's one advantage of keeping it stirred up, because more money is accumulating that you're depriving yourself of. But so it's buzzing and growing and buzzing. The vortex is growing and buzzing and growing and buzzing and growing. But finally you have to decide that you're going to go stake a claim on what you've put into your vortex. So you have to find a way of breaking the vibrational habit of thought. And that's why we've been talking all day here today. Stay off the subject of money. Stay off of it. Because if you try to use money as the subject that you get into the vortex, you're not going to get in there and nothing's going to change. So focus upon the abundance that comes to you in other ways other than money. Right. Look at the vitality of your physical being. You are more abundant in that than almost anybody you know. Look at your ability to be here in this chair right now with all of these people in the room. That's an abundance that you tapped into. You have the abundance of a very clear mind. You have abundance of very powerful wanting. You have the abundance of source energy. You live on an abundant planet where the sun comes every morning. That's worth all the money that everybody's got right there. Right. In other words, that's abundance. The food keeps growing and the birds keep flying. That's abundance. In other words, you can stay off the subject of money and get on the subject of abundance even, and stay in the vortex. There is so much. It's just a matter of wanting to feel good more than you want money. Right. That's really what it comes down to. Wanting it because, and that's why we do such a sales job about it, because we know you can't put a price. We sound like a credit card commercial. It's priceless. You can't put a price on clarity. How much do you pay for clarity? Well, that prescription is expensive, isn't it? You can't put a price on clarity or on that feeling of exhilaration. Right. What would you pay for that? What would you pay for a day like today? Yeah. Did you look out there? Yeah. Did you look at where you are? Did you see what's out that window? Did you smell that air? Did you feel that well-being? Esther was walking down the street with Jerry in Bethesda, and she stopped. And Jerry said, "What?" And Esther said, "Do you feel how stable this planet is? Do you feel how it's moving at astronomical rates in proximity to other planets? And do you feel how stable it is here? Do you remember how stable it was in Texas and Del Mar? Do you remember what it was like when we were in Stamford and Tahiti? Do you remember what it was like when we were on the ship in the Mediterranean Sea and when we were in the Alaskan waters? Stability, 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 stability. Everywhere we go, stability, stability, well-being. There's well-being everywhere. Just look for it and talk about it and bask in it and milk it and activate it in your vibration. Notice the abundance that is yours and how often it's showing itself to you. And before you know it, you've brought your abundance average vibration into a place that you are now a cooperative component. And now, because you've shifted your vibration and the resistance is gone through the crack of least resistance or the crack of most allowance, now it comes in the forms of things that are more specific that you are wanting. Every time. Yeah. Jerry has been saying for a long time, things are always working out for me. Right. And most people looking at him would say, well, duh. Right. In other words, his life is in a really good place. In other words, why wouldn't it work out for you? But he means it in all the subtle little ways. Right. He woke up the other morning in a city and said, "Ooh, I would really like to have some beans." And so Esther thought of all of the restaurants where Jerry likes his beans, and none of them were in the city. She didn't know how she was going to find any beans for him. And it wasn't critical. It was just, wouldn't it be nice if I had some beans? And then all of the cooperative components in the universe began to ascend in order to provide them. And then they went out to get into the car they were in Philadelphia, to take the FedEx package to the FedEx box, and the battery was dead in the car. So Esther called AAA, and the nice man came. It was raining, and in his yellow jumpsuit with his yellow jumper cables. He hooked the car up, and then it wouldn't start still. And then Jerry got out and adjusted some things and started right up. And so off they go to the Cadillac agency to get a new battery. And wouldn't you know, right next door was a restaurant that had the best beans. And Esther said, if it takes a dead battery to get beans for you, I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. I don't care what it takes.
Yeah.
They had such a lovely day interacting with all kinds of wonderful people. They actually had a better day because of that dead battery than they would have had if they'd not had a dead battery, because it took them into involvement and engagement and fun with all kinds of wonderful people. And Jerry said to Esther as he's eating his beans, everything always works out for me.
Yeah.
Everything always works out for me.
Yeah.
And we want you to acknowledge that. We want you to acknowledge how everything is working out for you. And you can have a little shadow in your life where you block the sunlight of well-being, and then until you can call it an issue. But everything is still doing its best to work out for you.
Right.
Anyway. Things are always working out for you anyway. In other words, the Cadillac agency didn't have to choose the agency that was right next door to the best beans in the city. They didn't have to contact the man at the Cadillac agency who was so receptive to their call, who told them to come right over. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to go to the Cadillac agency where the man said, jump in, I'll take you to the restaurant. In other words, the cooperation was just astonishing. You see, the universe is always orchestrating on your behalf. We just want to sort of zap you with an awareness, and of course we cannot do that. Well, maybe we did. That things are working out for you, and that when you begin looking for it, like looking for the dimes or looking for the pennies, in an attitude of expectation, that it makes it easier for the universe to reveal to you the path through which your money flows.
Yeah.
You can be consciously more cooperative than you've been being.
Yeah.
In other words, you can let your well-being come the easy way or the hard way.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yes. Thank you.